Debbie always uses the story that a guy told at one of our speaker meetings that the picture of a herd of zebras, and that's our NA fellowship. And then picture a lion running around the outside. That's the disease of addiction, trying to snag you up. You either stay around the outside of the fellowship or you get into the fellowship. You know, there's a difference. They say meeting makers make it, but meeting makers that work these steps are the ones that make it. You know, the topic is on service, you know, and it said in our basic text, proper service is doing the right thing for the right reason. You know, there was a period of time where after they threw us the keys, we were all, we were top shit. We was opening a meeting. We only had 3 months clean, and look at us, you know, we're doing this. And since that time, I moved on, and I had about a little over a year clean. And one of the guys that was one of the other fellow members, he nominated me for the co-chair of the area. And I thought, wow, you know, I hadn't even worked on my steps yet, and he wanted me to be the co-chair. But that's how I guess that's how it's supposed to be done, you know. You kind of, we're not supposed to manipulate people, but we're supposed to talk people into doing shit that they're not ready to do, you know. I don't know. In a way, that's manipulating, you know. But it benefited me, and it got me. I was co-chair, and then I was chair. The following year, I was chair. I've done all kinds. I've been activities. H&I, we still go into the jail every other week. I've been public information, and I've been treasurer more than anything else. You know, they give me the money all the time, and they like the way that I take care of the books. And I've since working this program, I've become a trusted member where they know that there's a receipt for any penny, anything that's ever spent. I always have a receipt to cover that's showing what it went for and what the purpose was. And our primary purpose is to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. You know, it said in the basic text that we attend meetings and make ourselves visible and available to serve our fellowship. We give freely and gratefully of our time, service, and what we have found here in Narcotics Anonymous. The service we speak of in NA is the primary purpose of our groups. Service work is carrying the message to the addict who still suffers. Working with others is only the beginning of service work. NA service allows us to spend much of our time helping the still suffering addict, as well as ensuring that NA itself survives. And that's what I was getting at when I said that in Monroe we have kind of a competition with the other 12-step program, because if everyone that was in the other fellowship, if every addict that was in the other fellowship came to Narcotics Anonymous would have 60 meetings in Monroe instead of 18. You know, but it is what it is. And, you know, our area is strong. We have activities. I enjoy my recovery. You know, the meetings go well. They, like any other area, you know, they go up and down. You know, one time there's plenty of people and plenty of money. It's not all about the money. It's about carrying the message. But a group has to survive. And, you know, I'm grateful that I'm in Narcotics Anonymous and that Debbie's in my life. You know, I've got my significant other is also in recovery, and I can only imagine what it would be like if she was to go back out again. I'd have to I don't know, how would I kick her to the curb? You know, what would I do? You know, how would I tell her she's going to have to find someplace else to stay? You know, or if it was turned around the other way around, if I was the one that went back out, what would she do to me? You know, she's having problems with her son, you know, and you can only do so much to help another person. A person I didn't quit till I wanted to, and that's how I have to look at everyone in the fellowship. I didn't quit till I wanted to. There was a time I came, and the only reason I came to meetings was because I had to. I enjoy going to conventions. We're planning on going to the World Convention in August, and we've been to 3 other World Conventions, and it's great to experience that type of camaraderie among everyone. And we're all trying to just carry the message. All I can do is share my experience, strength, and hope. There's some people try to preach and tell people that you got to do this and you got to do that. You don't have to do anything. You can do whatever you want. I know I do whatever I want. If I want to get high when I left here today, I could go get high. But today I'm grateful that I have a choice, and I don't have to act on I used to act on sudden impulse, and all somebody had to do was mention something, and I'd say, "Oh, don't twist my arm too high, too hard," and I'd be off and running or rolling. But I'm grateful today that I'm in Narcotics Anonymous and that I can enjoy my life today. We had to have a bunch of work done on the van before we took off. And if I wasn't in recovery, there's no way in the world I would have had the funding to take care of that so that we could enjoy this. I know he hasn't held that number up yet, but I'm just about
ready. Timer stopped then.
I'm just.
So you got another 25 minutes left.
Oh no! Oh, no.
I don't know how long.
I feel like I'm gonna start repeating shit, so I'm gonna stop. That's all I got. I didn't get a hug before I left. When I first come over here.
Yeah, I needed the breath, but that was intentional. Excited?
He's thrilled.
Yeah, I can see you. Let's have another round of applause for Kerry. Our second speaker is Dave C. from Shark Coast area in Florida.
Ooh, sound like it's important. So I know I should have gone first. Said everything I was going to say. Yes, you did. I'm David, an addict. And thrilled to be here talking about service. So as I told Brett, Brett said he wanted to come to whatever workshop I was doing. I says it shouldn't be about who's speaking. It should be about whether or not you want to go to the workshop. Remember the principle of that process. And so I did some research on what is service, and so forth. And as Kerry had mentioned, our 12th step, carrying the message, is the basic service that NA Fellowship gives us. This is our principle and aim and main reason for our existence. There's more than just a set of principles, rather it's a society of NA members in action. Now, the simplest way of service is that you're being ready to help anybody. If you have service to others in recovery, they're ready to help anyone in recovery who is in need, anytime, anywhere, of any fellowship. It's not just being us exclusively. And you don't have to be somebody's sponsor to lend a hand. Oftentimes it's just being willing to sit and listen to somebody else share what's going on in their life or in your life, which will help us get over whatever is going on with us at the time. Part of being of service is becoming active members of your home group. Now, and it can be real simple, it could be just putting the chairs up, taking the chairs down, emptying the coffee pot. And sure, there's probably somebody that does this on a regular basis, but it certainly doesn't hurt you to offer to help. Remember how it was when you went to your first meeting? how you were a little scared about what was going on, and somebody came up and offered you, said, "Hi, my name is this, and my name is Dave. How are you? Is this your first meeting? We have a literature table." It can be intimidating when you first walk in your meeting, and you need to remember, and I didn't learn this until well into my years of recovery, that a hug can be intimidating to both men and women. And so we need to be cautious about that, let them become accustomed. Don't just jump on the newcomers as they walk in the door. Part of helping out in our local NA meetings, though, is greeting the newcomers. Turn the page, Dave. There's no mystery about service work. In fact, and I was going to leave this part out of what I was going to share until yesterday when I was sitting at the speaker meeting, and a member of our men's group or men's retreat had a shirt on that says sponsorship, service in action. Because it talks about what I Googled or researched, it talked about sponsorship being part of service, and I've never looked at it that way. I've always looked at sponsorship being mentorship or something we do to help each other, but I never looked at it really as that much of being of service to the fellowship. Being of service to the fellowship, to me, is, welcoming the newcomer, being willing to listen, getting involved in one or more of the multiple subcommittees that are, or being part of an area or a region, doing PI work, doing H&I work. Carrie talked about doing H&I work, how they take meetings in the jails. Myself personally, I've never really did H&I. I never really cared for that part of the fellowship. I've done many of other service positions, but H&I is not my forte. PI, I'm okay with. And treasurer, I think I was treasurer of one committee, and I like being the secretary. I like part of that, though, is you need to understand that our communication with each other helps us grow. If we don't communicate well to our members from an area meeting or a subcommittee meeting or a regional meeting, all they're left with is what is hearsay or what this is or what that is. I heard about this at the area. I heard that about the area. I heard about this going on, but if you have a set of minutes that actually shows you what took place and what took place. And it talks, it talked about in this article, it talked about don't be, nobody should really force you into service, And area service isn't for everybody. Groups, and none of that service is, you just get involved when you feel comfortable. There's no requirement to go into service. One of the things that I found very interesting is early on in recovery, and there were things that we did in my area, or Western Wayne County area that I used to live in, that we did that encourages members. After the first MRCNA convention in Midland, now I can use this as part of the excuse for my relapse, but there was many other factors that involved my relapse. But I attended the next convention meeting after MRCNA for the planning of MRCNA 2. And I was told, you don't have enough clean time to be of service. And that helped on top of the other things that were going on in my life at the time to help me take a little road trip. It was only a 2-week road trip, but it was still a road trip. And so now in my home area, in Western Wayne County, you can be the secretary of our activities committee with 1 day clean. And we need to encourage people with that idea that everybody has a voice, everybody can say something, everybody can be of service. And as I talked originally in the beginning about being willing to listen to somebody share what's going on with themselves or with you, you could have like 6 hours clean and you're being of service. Well, fortunately, the past couple of days, there's been some things in our daily meditation that talked about service, which naturally I took. Several calls for a selfish devotion to carry the message to the still suffering addict. But our attitude of service cannot stop there. Service also requires that we look at ourselves and our motives. Our efforts at service make us highly visible to the fellowship. In NA, it's easy to become a big fish in a little pond. Our controlling attitude could easily drive away the newcomer. Group conscience is one of the most important principles in service. It is vital to remember that the group's conscience is what counts, not just our individual beliefs and desires. We lend our thoughts and beliefs to the development of a group conscience. Then when that conscience arises, we accept its guidance. The key is working with others, not against them. Remember that we strive together to develop a collective conscience. We will see that all sides have equal merit. When all the discussions are over, all sides will come back together to carry a unified message. I've been in many service committee meetings where a lot of people disagreed with me, and I've disagreed with them. And I always go back to when Metro Detroit separated itself from Michigan Region. My home area voted no for the separation. But the conscience of that separation was to separate the Metro Detroit region from the Michigan region. Now, we as an area and individuals could certainly have said, now screw all that, we're going to go our own way, because we didn't get our way in the vote. But we didn't. As an area, we, many members for many years have became involved in the Metro Detroit region in every aspect of making it a better region and make it work. And that is the simplest thing that I can remember of how we didn't get our way, but we went along with what conscience was. And I'm proud of that, And there's been other things of individual groups that I've been involved in that, you don't always get what you want, but you're here as a team member, team player. It's often tempting to think that we know what is best for the group. Remember that it doesn't matter if we get our way. And it's easier to allow service to be the vehicle as intended, be a way to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. And as always in the little quotations below that, it says, just for today, I'll take part in the development of group conscience. Remember that the world won't end just because I don't get my way. I will think about our primary purpose in all my service efforts. I'll reach out to the newcomer. And then just recently, a couple days ago, had another little thing that not necessarily blended in with service, but it still offers into the principal aspect of it, is that we learn that conflicts are part of reality. We learn new ways to resolve them instead of running away from them. Dealing with any conflict is difficult for recovering addicts. When tempers rise, it's often a good idea to back away from the situation until cooler minds prevail. I've also often heard my grand sponsor, Vito, say, when things get crazy, he just steps back and let God take over, because things can get crazy. We can always return for further discussion when we have calmed down. We can't avoid troubling situations, but we can use time and distance to find perspective. Conflict is part of life. We can't go through our entire recovery without encouraging disagreements, difference of opinion. Sometimes we can back away from the situations, taking time to reflect on them. There's always comes a time when the conflict must be resolved. When that time comes, we take a deep breath, say a prayer, and apply the principles of our program as given us. Honesty, open-mindedness, responsibility, forgiveness, trust, and all the rest. We didn't get clean to keep running from life. And in recovery, you don't have to run anywhere. Just for today, the principles in my program have given me are sufficient to guide me through any situation. I will strive to confront and conflict it in a healthy way. One of the other things that I hadn't touched on yet is that, and I'm sure this is true for most people in the room, that I may not be here today if I didn't get involved in service. Service has helped me stay clean. It's one thing for me to have a commit to be clean, but it wasn't necessarily until I took a commitment to be that person who has a set of keys to the church, or I'm the coffee maker and I got to show up to make the damn coffee. I got to open the damn door for all these other freaking recovering addicts, you know, for them to find a way to stay clean. You know, it talks about, and I want to touch on this. It's not really, I don't know if it really has to do with service, but it has to do with the group and how we pay our way. You know, years ago was when I did a workshop about seventh tradition. Somebody says, well, my seventh tradition was that I helped the group out by putting chairs and tables away. Well, that's true, but that doesn't pay the rent. You know, nor to be, you know, it's crazy about how people get so caught up with money issues of what's going on in groups, areas, regions, our world, how our world spends money and so forth. And, you know, I have a simple factor that I look at. At my home group, I contribute the most. You know, you go back to when I got clean, which was in 1985, and the amount of money I spent getting high on that last evening is versus what I give to the fellowship is a small pittance. I do simple math. In my home group, I give $20 a night. I go to another meeting or a couple other meetings throughout the week, I give another $2-3. $25 a week, $100 a month, $1,200 a year. What's your recovery worth to you? You know, I used double that my last night of using, if not more. That was 32 years ago. Now, if every member did that in our fellowship, and I know there's times are tough, and there's struggles everywhere, and people can't afford things, you know, I understand all that, but we can certainly give more of what we give, you know, because if each person gave $20 to their home group, the area would have more money than what it knew what to do with, you know. The area gives to the region would have more money, the world would have more money. You know, part of our 12th step is carrying the message to the addict who still suffers. You know, there are some fellowships out there that wait for people to come and ask them, hey, I heard about your program, can you help us? Narcotics Anonymous has always been the opposite. We go into the foreign countries, we go there and tell them, hey, this is a better way of life. We can help your addicts. We help you do this. We can help you do that. We don't wait for the countries to come and ask us. We go to them. And there's always a desperate need, you know. If you talk, you know, hurricanes happen throughout our fellowship. Tornadoes, devastation happens at different places. Whole areas and regions are wiped out in a matter of seconds. They need to rebuild. And all that has to come from some people willing to help. Our world does it. Other regions help other areas and other regions. You know, I'm on my soapbox here. But, you know, that's how I feel, you know. And my perspective of service has certainly changed over the years. You know, I don't know if this ever get listened to in my current home area, but service work where I live now is completely different than service work where I came from. Service work there is completely different from the way I learned how to do service. And it just drives me crazy, you know. And I suppose I should have looked into the area I was moving into before I moved into it. I probably should have attended a regional meeting of the region that I belong to. And it was like, before I did that, I came home, me and Gary went to 2 regional meetings. I came home from the second regional meeting, I told the wife I had to sell the house. Because I got to get involved with a region that's not so frickin' crazy, you know, or so self-centered on a subject. And the area is kind of the same way, but, you know. And it's hard to get involved because I'm only there 8 months out of the year. You know, it's hard to get involved to do changes. You know, because I'm only there for a short period of time, and then I'm back up here for 4 months. You know, but you know, I pray on it, and hopefully things will change. You know, I'm looking to get involved more once I get back, and that's pretty much all I have. He hasn't held up the 5-minute thing yet. I do see though that my lovely wife just walked in the room, and I don't know if there's going to be another opportunity to do this, you know, throughout the weekend. But my lovely wife celebrated 32 years yesterday. And I think I got a medallion here somewhere to give her. Oh, here it is. So without further ado, I'm going to use up some of my mic time to give my wife her 32-year medallion. I love you, honey. So here's your medallion.
Thank you.
And you get to tell everybody how you did it. Ha! Ha!
Are you recording?
Oh, yes, we're recording.
You have 6 minutes.
You got 6 minutes.
I'm a recovering addict today. Oh, it's beautiful. It's purple.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. So how I did it was I just didn't pick up that first one. You know, I did not pick up that first one, and I kept coming back, and I found hope in these rooms, and yeah, I became one of the miracles they told me happened, you know, when I got here, and it's amazing. You know, I live a magical life, and it's due to this fellowship, and you know, showing up and with that honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, you know, being willing to step out of myself to help somebody else, you know, and getting involved in service. And say you know, my tagline is I live a magical life full of gifts, you know, and if you keep coming, you know, it's here for all of us. So thank you, you sneak.
Even though you forgot my birthday.
I know, right? I'm going to get sued.